Hello and welcome to this webinar series for a webinar for New Brunswick businesses. My name is Thomas Laffy. I am CEO of Conseil économique du Nouveau-Brunswick. We're a network of entrepreneurs and businesses that aims to propel the New Brunswick economy. And if you're watching this video, it means that you're in business here in New Brunswick and you're looking for answers to questions for your business. As we're all facing a very challenging situation here in New Brunswick due to COVID-19. These are difficult times for you and your business, but you're not alone, and we're here to help you. And as the saying goes, that we go further together, this series of webinar that we have launched is a product of collaboration between the Conseil économique, Opportunities New Brunswick, CFIB, the New Brunswick Business Council, the Atlantic Chamber of Commerce, and many other partners and networks. The objective of these webinars is very simple. One video every week with a panel of experts to answer some of the most frequently asked questions that are important for you. But I must admit that we won't be able to cover all the questions, only the frequent ones. But please send these questions, the questions that you have, to the team at ONB, who will be there to support you and to convey these questions to the team who is organizing these webinars, and we'll make sure to cover them in the upcoming episodes. So beyond the implementation of immediate response efforts, business owners and entrepreneurs will need to begin asking themselves questions like, what is next for my business post-COVID-19? What will be my business model? What will my business model look like? This third New Brunswick Business Webinar Series will answer the frequently asked questions on the topic of pivoting your business towards a new reality. And today, I'm very pleased to be joined by two panelists, Marc Babineau, Development Officer with ACOA. Welcome back, Marc.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for being with us. And Mike Randall, President of Portfolio. Hi, Mark. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Thomas.
Thank you for being with us, Mike.
Oh, thanks very much for having me.
So without further ado now, we'll let Mark start with his presentation. There were some recent announcements, some updates on some of the measures that were announced by the federal government. And I'm sure Mark will address those, as well as some of the most frequently questions that they're receiving at ACOA. So Mark, the mic is yours.
Thank you, Thomas. First, I want to thank the organizers of this series for your information and the leadership you've been providing to businesses at this moment in time. And today I'm going to make sure that I cover maybe the recent changes, again, touch on the programs that are out there for you, but also navigate through some of the ways that you can get ready for your discussions that are going to be coming up. So here are some of the updates and changes I can provide you at this time. Keep in mind that these changes keep occurring on a daily basis, and you need to to ensure that you check your websites constantly to make sure and listen to the news, listen to the information that's being given out, but also look at the websites. So the first one I want to talk about is the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. That is the 75% contribution of an employee's wages up to $847 per week. These are for employers of all sizes across all sectors who suffered drops in gross revenue of at least 15% in March and 30% in April and May. Now, if you remember, this used to be 30%. So the adjustment, the change is that it's now 15% in March and 30% in April and May. The program will be in place for a 12-week period from March 15th to June 6th. We're also proposing changes that might make employees eligible for some of the contributions that they incur, such as employment insurance, Canada Pension Plan, and some of the other employee respectful employee wages who are on leave with pay. Some of those elements as well might be in it. The other thing that I want to bring, the other program I want to bring to your attention is the Business Credit Availability Program. It's called BCAP. This is to provide funds to additional support by means of the Business Development Bank of Canada and also Export Development Canada. So BDC and EDC are working with private sector lenders to coordinate the credit solutions for individual businesses. These two programs, the first one with EDC is a loan guarantee for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. They work with financial institutions to issue new operating credit and cash flow term loans, up to $6.2 million for SMEs. This is something that is done through your financial institution, and hopefully in the near future we'll have those two organizations to talk to you a bit more about them. The second one under that program is the co-lending program for small and medium-sized entrepreneurs. That is through the BDC. The BDC is working with financial institutions to co-lend term loans to SMEs for their operational cash flow requirements. The eligible businesses, again, may get up to $6.25 million through this program, depending on your needs. These programs will be rolling out in mid-April, so very soon. And you should be contacting your financial institution to make sure that you're aware of what's coming up, but also that you line up for how you're going to be getting prepared for them. And I'll cover that in a few minutes as well. The next program I want to touch is the new Canada Emergency Business Account that provides an interest-free loan of up to $40,000 to small businesses and not-for-profit organizations to help cover their operating costs during this period when revenues have been temporarily reduced. Again, to qualify for this, you have to be able to demonstrate that you paid between $50,000 and $1 million in total payroll in 2019. Again, this program will be rolled out in mid-April, and you should also talk to your financial institution to make sure that you are aware of how they're going to proceed and what they need. I will be touching a bit on the feedback that we got from them as to what that looks like in a few minutes. We will also provide, as far as the what's called the Canada Emergency Response Benefit, the famous CERB that everybody's been hearing about. This will be, and I'm going to talk about a change to that in a second. This is where you can benefit from a $2,000 a month contribution for up to 4 months. This is a taxable benefit of $2,000 a month for 4 months. This is for eligible workers, so some of your employees who have lost their income due to COVID-19, but it also applies to you as a business owner. So a portal with a simple question and answer section on it is online, and you can also apply online. If you can't apply online, you can also apply over the phone. The number is 1-800-959-2019. 1-800-959-2019. The change and the questions that came up recently is, if I am in receipt of dividends, am I eligible? And up to now, there was a question to that, but I can confirm to you today that yes, as long as the dividends are non-eligible dividends, that means those paid out of corporate income taxes at the small business rate, then you will be eligible for the CERB. But again, go to the website and you can have a look at the criteria, and the questions and answers that are there will answer most of your questions, and they're up to date on all of the programs that are available to you as a company. What is this website? Well, very simply, you go to canada.ca and you click on the beige square that's up top, and that will bring you to all of the programs, all of the Q's and A's, all of the examples also that are on there that can guide you through this sometimes very confusing program, program festival. There's a lot of programs out there, and you want to make sure that you can navigate through them and you get the answers that you need. You need to make sure, if you want to get ready, that you have access to your Canada Revenue Agency My Business account portal. So make sure you have your username and password. Also make sure that you have all of your online banking lined up so that you can do your online banking for your company, but also on your CRA portal that you are set up for direct deposit. Otherwise, you will be waiting for a check from some of those programs, and you would probably want to get it sooner than later. As far as how to get ready for this, online banking for sure, access to your CRA account, set up your direct deposit, but also make sure that you have your financial statements. So the last 3 years would be ideal, so that you can show the history when you're having discussions with your bank. You might not need your financial statements when you're applying for the $2,000 a month, but you will need it if you're applying to your bank for the other programs. You will also need in your hands your summary of remuneration T4 statement. So if you haven't completed it, complete it, make sure it's up to date, make sure you have it in your hands. The last thing I want to talk to you about as far as preparation today is probably one of the most important. Make sure that if you haven't engaged in cash flow planning or creating your cash flow statement, that you sit and you, draft your cash flow statement. Cash flow in simple terms is cash in minus cash out. What comes in, what comes out. And in your cash flow statement, topics will show up of when you do it, which will tell a story and will show the current impact and give possibilities for the future. So that's what your cash flow statement will do. It's not a common thing. Not everybody does their cash flow statements, but in these times, it's very important that you do it. And I'm going to give you a couple of elements that you need to include in there. So in simple terms, your cash flow will give you the why, the where, the what, the how, the who, and the when. So the why. This is your story. I know COVID-related issues have come up that have affected your company. This is where you're going to show how it affected it. This will show up in your cash flow. When your numbers are on that sheet, it will tell the story of why COVID affected you. The next one is where. In other words, which area of your company needs a little push? Is it the sales that need to change with a stimulus? Is it production costs that have gone up because of changes in suppliers? Is it on your human resources to help turn the corner? The cash flow will allow you to plan for this and explain it to the financial institution. Next is the what. Specifically, what are you going to spend it on? Is it going to be salaries, materials, marketing, new products or services, overhead costs, rent? What specifically are you going to spend it on? Your cash flow statement will show that. Next is how. How did you come up with the amount that you're requesting under this program? How much will you need? Not enough is a problem. Too much can also be a problem because you have to consider repayment. The cash flow statement will help you determine this and give you the narrative to discuss and support your request. Also, the importance of running different scenarios. Play the what if game. It's what if time. What if I get this money? What if I don't? So please prepare scenarios on the short term, medium term, and long term. And this will also allow you to have those discussions with your partners, with your financial institutions. Next is who. What other sources of funds will come into play? Who else will put money into your company? What programs are you applying to? In other words, who else would be injecting funds? And that will be reflected in your cash flow statement. It will be a question that will be asked to you by your financial institution. Finally, but not the least important, is when will you repay? Some of these requests you'll be making are loans. The difficult question is, when can I repay these? The cash flow can help you answer this difficult question in very uncertain times. So please make the different scenarios and do your cash flow. Now, in a few minutes, Mike is going to entertain you on the discussion around all of the other elements that precede cash flow, because he'll be creating awareness with you on all of the other aspects of business that you have to make decisions on and question yourself on and redesign. And following your answers to those questions that Mike's going to put in front of you, you're going to want to quantify them with numbers, and those numbers will feed into your cash flow. So pay very close attention to what Mike is putting on the table for you. These are different times, they're very critical times, and you need to redefine your business model. And Mike's going to walk you through that in a couple of seconds. Now, my last point is what support is available. Definitely at ACOA, we're there to help you. You can reach us at 1-800-561-4030, 1-800-561-4030. We have what I'm going to call an army of competent and very willing people to help you, guide you through these programs, also guide you through the planning tools that you need. The next resource I'm going to give you is Canada Business. So canadabusiness.ca or 1-888-576-4444. 1-888-576-4444. If you have questions for suppliers, finding new suppliers, if you have questions around trying to develop new markets, how many competitors do I have? How many partners do I have? Statistical information. Canada Business can help you. It's one of the most underutilized resources we have, but it's an amazing resource, and they're there as a business resource for you to help you navigate through all of this information that it would probably take you a lot of time to get on your own researches online and whatnot. So they also have cash flow models on the previous topic, how to do a cash flow. They can provide you with models. They can provide you with a whole bunch of business planning tools, and also the information on the programs as well. So please reach out to us. Stay safe. Make sure that you stay healthy, and good luck in these trying times. Back to you, Tama. You're on mute.
Thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for the information that you shared, the updates on some of the federal measures and help that's out there, and as well as sharing the contact information for not only yourself, ACOA, but also Canada Business. As you mentioned, they're there to support businesses and figure out ways to pivot in these very challenging times. I would like to note as well that the team at ONB will reach out to BDC and EDC to have someone from one or the two, if not both organizations, to provide more information on how to support businesses. But thank you very much for the support, and thank you for all the insight and advice and tips and advice that you've shared with us in the previous episode and in this episode to help our businesses find the right solutions and the support for them to get over this crisis. So thank you so much, merci Marc. And now, as you mentioned, Marc, I think it's very important now to have this conversation, or at least the presentation that Mike will share with us now on asking the right questions as a business and how to prepare for the post COVID-19 situation. But in order to prepare for tomorrow, you have to start today. And I'm very much looking forward to this presentation from Mike at Portfolio. So now, Mike, it's your turn. It's all you.
Thanks, Tama, and thanks so much, Mark, for that foundation. I think in these trying times, what most business owners are starting to ask themselves every single day is how can I find the resolve to carry on? How can I ensure that when I come out of COVID-19 and we enter the new normal, the next normal, how will my business fare? And I think both of you have laid a perfect foundation for the questions that business owners need to start asking themselves today to ensure that they're ready for whatever the new normal will bring. And as we've seen by unemployment figures, it is going to have an impact not only on our total economy, but as we break down into each sector, every business will be impacted in some way. And beyond finding that resolve, the programs the Government of Canada and the province of New Brunswick are providing and other programs of support are going to help you find that resilience to keep going, but only if you are charted on the right path, only if you are prepared to make that decision of should I pivot or persevere. And we've put together a number of questions that we really think you need to start asking yourselves. And how do I then transform my business to meet those demands of what the new normal, the next normal will be? One of the first ones that we hear a lot about is, I'm closed today, but I have every intention of reopening, or I'm on a reduced schedule today. The vast majority of people are, even if they are open and working, just like our organization, people are working remotely now. The new hashtag WFH has become part of the new normal, working from home. And at some point, if we all stay home, if we all heed to the pleas of our medical health officers, and we get through this pandemic and we come out the other side, people will eventually come back together. And one of the first things we really need to start thinking about are our internal house in order. How do I re-engage with my employees when my business reopens? So whether your employees have been laid off, whether your employees are on reduced hours, or whether your employees are working full-time but working at home, they're working differently now than they ever have. And the relationship, that interaction, that day in and day out interaction that we take for granted with our employees will be different. We've become, it takes 21 days, they say, to form a habit. We've all been working from our home offices and basements and chairs and dining room tables for longer than that. The new habit is I work independently, I work alone, I get my work done. How do we reintegrate employees into groups? How do we reintegrate our employees into that mindset of our business also may be different than it was before? How do we work with our employees to pivot our businesses to ensure that we're adapting to the needs and the wants of consumers, our customers, our clients in the new normal? And this is going to require a lot of communication. It's going to require patience. It's going to require ongoing engagement of your employees, having those conversations, being honest. It also may be a tough struggle. Their cash flow, as Mark said, is going to be king, and it's going to provide that ability for us to return strong, but we need to keep that balance. We need to make sure that we continue to have a cash flow to do these things. And if we don't, keeping the doors open today, having the resilience and the resolve to get through this, and then not being able to sustain that because I don't have cash flow, is defeating the purpose. So all of these things need to be taken into consideration. The next really important one for all businesses is, how am I going to re-engage with my customers when my business reopens? So if I'm shut down today, if I've been closed because of the provincial restrictions and my business is not allowed to be open, how do I ensure that I am going to be relevant again once businesses do reopen? Our lifestyles have changed, our habits have changed. The way I was talking to a client yesterday who said, I probably had lunch out 3 or 4 times a week. I don't do that anymore, and I can't see going back. What kind of impact, if you're a restaurant or if you're a takeout, or what kind of impact will that have on your business? And how do you re-engage those customers? How do you bring them back in? How do you create an environment of welcoming? How do you say, hey, welcome back, please come back, and we're here for you? And those are, again, questions that we really need to start working on today, because if it takes us so long to ramp up on the other side, back to Mark's big point, the cash flow won't be there. And without a sustainable cash flow, our business will falter and potentially fail. And that's what we're really trying to avoid through all of this. And then ultimately, it's sitting down and saying, do I need to change my business? We've come up with a list of questions that I think each business today, right now, even though you're still trying to navigate through support programs, even though you're still trying to figure out, should I keep my employees, lay my employees off, reduce my employee hours? Should I be doing something differently day to day right now as we're going through this? Start thinking ahead. Start thinking about when I return, when things are back to a new normal, when the society is operating at a greater capacity. How do I ensure my business is going to be not only strong, but you could start to ask yourselves the question, how can I be stronger? How could I even come out of this stronger than we went in? One of the things that I really would stress to each business is to sit down and say, has COVID-19, has this global pandemic impacted your brand and your value proposition with your clients? I was relevant to them before. Am I that relevant again? Am I providing a service or a product that remains as relevant to them before, and they're just dying to get back to me? Maybe yes, maybe no. If not, has my client's behavior changed? And moving forward, will this have an impact on my business? One of the fascinating case studies I've read throughout this is spin studios across the country are closed. Of course they're closed. The smart ones have gone out and said, you know what? I'll rent you this professional spin bike. You can take it home. You can have it there as part of your new normal. You can become part of a new fitness regime. You can start a new habit, and hopefully, when you're back on the back end of this, you'll be addicted to spinning, and you'll come to our studio. That is one excellent way of starting to think about, how do I become even more relevant coming out of this pandemic? Mark talked a lot about, where do we spend our cash flow? What do we focus on? And marketing is going to be key. I can't stress enough how crowded the messaging is going to be coming out of COVID-19. Everyone will want to engage with their customers all at the same time. Advertising, social media, digital media will be bombarding people. and it will be too much information. So are there other ways? Are there more unique ways? Are there more personalized ways that I can engage my customers coming out of the back end of this? What marketing gaps or opportunities are there now that could, again, change the way people see us and change the relevance we have to our customers? How can we pivot to match new behaviors? You know, we've all been perhaps more attached than ever to a technology or a device because it's our lifeline to the world. And because that's going to be habit forming for a while, I think people will continue to communicate this way. And can we take advantage of that? But we also need to understand that at some point, people may also want to say, I've had enough of that. I want to get out and smell the fresh air and take a walk and see the sights. And perhaps I need to have a message to them in that environment as well. So these are all questions we need to be asking ourselves. Will the new normal force you to operate differently than before? If you're a movie theater and we're going to reduce the amount of people that are allowed to congregate in one place, if you're a live performance venue, if you're a big restaurant, are there going to be restrictions? Are there going to be new rules that may again impact the way that we deliver, the way that we deliver a service and a product to our customers? Are there going to be regulations that force me to change the way I do things, whether it's the processes with which we make things, the way we distribute things, or the way that we get those things to our customers? Start to think about, and this goes back to Mark's point about cash flow, what costs are truly fixed versus variable. It's going to be really key moving forward to look at all of your expenses, to look at all of your costs, and really to determine which one of those are a priority. And especially if it's in the context of better engaging my employees, better engaging my customers, ensuring that I remain relevant, where are those fixed costs or those variable costs that will help boost and propel that forward? And another key one, and this, we do a lot of work in the agricultural and fishery sectors, supply chain, logistics, the impact on those in a global pandemic. And remember that your supply chain is only as strong as its weakest link. Will that impact, again, how I can get my product to market? The markets that I'm actually selling into. We're working right now with the agricultural sector to say, if logistics and supply chain remains reduced and restricted for a period of time, does that impact the amount of seed you should put in the ground at this point in time? Should I be pulling lobster and oysters out of the water, or should we be leaving them there? Those are all the kinds of questions that you should ask your business as well. What should I be doing based on where I project my supply chain to be in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and beyond? Technology has become a huge part of our day in and day out lives. And I think most businesses have been able to figure out whether or not they were prepared technologically or not. And coming out of this, we've all adapted, and we've all run to platforms like the one we're on right now to integrate and to connect with people. But moving forward, if that's going to become part of your new normal, do you have a technological platform, a base, and capabilities that will allow that to be seamless, that will allow customers to continue to engage with you in the manner that they want to, that it makes it non-cumbersome, that makes it easy for customers to work with you and to access your products or services? So important, coming back, providing a safe workspace. What does that mean now in a new normal? You know, it was interesting. We were in the middle of looking at revamping our office space and had started to think about open concept spaces and people collaboratively working together. Is that going to change now? And do we need to provide a different kind of workspace? Do we need to provide a safer workspace? We do some work in the commercial real estate sectors, and there's already predictions that buildings will have to integrate technology that will ensure that we protect the safety of the people in them. How is that going to affect my business? How is that going to affect the way that we come together, congregate together? And it's also going to change the way businesses think about teams and working from home or working in an office. And there are going to be many businesses that come out of the back end of this to say, you know what, a hybrid blend of those may be a better option. It may provide even a better quality of life for people. And maybe we can take advantage of that. We can reduce overhead costs. We can still deliver great products and services, but it's thinking outside the box. It's asking yourself those questions to say, how can we ensure we're focused on delivering the best to our clients? And also, what has this revealed about your workforce? Are they all delivering on the expectations? Are they all part of moving the company forward and ensuring that we are sustainable and growing moving forward? And if not, how can we help those employees transition to other opportunities, and how can we provide them support through this if our workforce isn't going to be the same size that it was before? It's important to take this time, and you know, it's interesting. I think, yes, there are some people who may be having more time on their hands today. I think you should take advantage of that and use this time to plan and to prepare and to get ready. I also think there are organizations and businesses who may be working harder than they've ever worked. And I think in that myriad of things that you're doing in that environment that you've created where you are so busy, it's important to pause and to also ask yourself, are we ready for the future? You can get so lost in the day to day and not be prepared for getting there. You know, we are going to come out of this with a different economy, a different focus, and perhaps a different perspective on what is important and which sectors are key in our lives. And as a business owner, you need to be starting to ask yourself, how do I fit into that? How do I pivot or persevere to ensure that my business emerges out of the back end of this? If I have to reimagine my business, if I have to pivot my business to something else, am I prepared to do that? What cash flow and finances do I need to do that? Where can I find that support? Do I have the team to help me do that? And let's get ready now. And if I can persevere, if it's one of those businesses that people are just dying to get back to and can't wait for this to end, how do I manage it so we don't reduce customer service, so we don't lose sight of what made us great before? And these are the kinds of questions so that when we do return, that when we do ultimately reform our businesses, we are as strong or stronger, that we are prepared for whatever the new normal or the next normal brings us. And we are prepared for interruptions beyond this that may happen as a result of this, and that we can manage those as they come because we've planned, because we've prepared. And I guess my final thought would be, you know, if people watching this today leave with one thought, for me, it's start asking yourself important questions, and don't just look at it from your lens or through your perspective, but try to answer those questions through the lens of your customer, through the lens of your employee, through the lens of your partner. And do you get the same answers? Do you get the same decision-making? And if not, how do we transform our decision-making? How do we pivot our decision-making to make sure that we engage all those key stakeholders, that we make sure that we remain relevant, that our brand and our business remains part of an opportunity to bring our economy back, to grow our business sectors, and to emerge from this stronger than when we went in. So thanks, Thomas and Mark, for the opportunity to be here today.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you for this great presentation where you're asking some of the key questions and some of the key information that businesses have to take the time to ask. I think it's very important that, you know, as you mentioned, you know, businesses right now are dealing with very pressing matters, immediate matters, but also they have to plan accordingly for the future. And it starts now, it starts today with the appropriate questions. And that was a great point that you've made in regards to saying that how we have to see things through the lens of our employees, of our partners, of our business partners, of our clients, and everybody else around us in our environment. So that was a great point. So I strongly encourage the viewers to contact Portfolio, your firm, to actually do a more deep dive into these questions, because these are very questions at the surface that you have to ask yourself, and then you have to have a plan and really go in depth into these questions, to these points. So thank you very much, Mike, for this presentation. Thank you, Mark, for the information you shared from the perspective of ACOA, and how to get access to support, and how to be better prepared to receive that support, and how to plan accordingly. So thank you both for your time. I know you're very busy. I'm sure your clients and your contacts and your partners are keeping you busy these days. So thank you very much for the information, the advice you've shared with us. And as you can see, we were not able to answer all the questions, but only the most frequent ones that our panelists have been receiving in the last couple of weeks. But if you have further questions, I invite you to either contact them directly to the contact information that they've shared with you, or contact the ONB team, and we will make sure to relay these questions to them. I want to remind you that the PDF of the presentation is available along with these videos, so feel free to download them and follow them as you're listening to the presentation. And I want to remind you that the team at ONB has actually prepared a table summarizing all the federal and provincial measures that are available for business. It's available on their website, and it's updated very regularly as soon as new measures are announced. So feel free to use that important tool that ONB has prepared. Thank you again to our panelists. Thank you to our partners, especially ONB, for managing these webinar series and making them happen. It's very appreciated. The next video will be available next week. And in the meantime, please don't forget to follow the directions and advice, practice physical distancing, and please take care. And thank you again to Mark and Mike for being with us this week. It was greatly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thanks
My pleasure, Thomas. Thank you.